So a couple days ago, my coworkers and we decided to visit this newly opened place. You can get the tickets at the website. You have to kind of get it in advance because I think they only opened like a couple weeks ago. Um, the main attraction here is not for like the amount of animals they have, because honestly, they don't have a lot of animals. The main attraction is actually that you have a chance to touch and interact with some of these very rare wild animals. Um, there is a little bit of a catch, though, that we found out. Kind of the hard way. We learned a little bit of a lesson, so share some wisdom here. Um, the the entrance ticket you buy, you get to walk around and stuff, and you get some feeding grass and stuff for some of the areas, like the capybaras and like ponies and guinea pigs. But to actually interact with some of these more like rare animals, like this prairie dog here, and the anteaters and some of the other animals that are the meerkats, for example, you need to line up real early, and there's only like a limited numbered ticket that is available every day. I think it's about like in the morning session there's only like 100 tickets, and in the afternoon session there's like another 100, which means only like 200 people get to actually touch these groundhogs every day, or like touch meerkats every day. They get to like enter the enclosure, and I think the lineup is like it's crazy because we arrived at 10:15 ish, and the tickets were already gone. So right when they opened the door at like 10, I assume a bunch of people just race in and grab those tickets so that they get to enter these enclosure and touch these animals. So that's kind of a bummer, because if you actually want to interact with them, not just like look at them outside, you have to be one of the early birds and just really be on top of your game. It's almost like fighting for, Universal Studios or like Disney. There are like certain areas that has like a number thing where you get to like run over and grab that ASAP. So yeah, that was what we found out the hard way. You see some of these people, leaving. So like, yeah, like for example, if you grab those numbered tickets, then according to your number, there's a set time slot for you to interact with these animals. So like every 5 or 10 minutes, a different group of people get to go in and take pictures and hope meerkats jump on them and stuff. Well, other than that, the place is pretty big, and there's some animals you don't really need to get numbered tickets for, like these capybaras. You just have to get like some snacks for them, some grass that they eat, and then you can go in and they'll come over. You get to feed them and pet them. So I guess that's pretty cool, I guess. But then again, you have these different cafes that you get to touch capybara, so it's not as rare. And there's also this area called the Fox Valley, which sounds cool, and apparently it's like a valley, and there are like 9 foxes that live in there, and you're instructed not to walk on the grass, and don't touch the fox on the head, that kind of stuff. So all that warning and reminders, we're like, oh yes, we're gonna like touch foxes and stuff. But in reality, they were just like chilling on top of the hill, and you actually don't get to interact with them. We're walking around, and they were just like so far away, up on the ledge, and you just kind of like look up and be like, oh, there's some foxes over there. Yeah. So although they're like in the same area, they don't really like get close to you. Um, but eventually we found out we were walking out of this enclosure. We're just walking through the side of the fence, and then we noticed that the area where they have to drink water, that little pool at the ground level, that's their only place to drink water. So we actually saw like one fox come down because it was thirsty, and it had to walk to the pool, and then there were just like a crowd of people just touching its tail and stuff. The fox was like, ah, let me drink my water, and it just ran away. So I guess it's kind of clever for the zoo to be like, all right, let's build this water place, but it's only in this area where there are a bunch of humans. So the foxes, like, if they're thirsty, they just gotta come down and take that, I guess. Clever or sneaky? I don't know. Yeah. Prior to going, we saw some YouTube videos, and obviously like for promotion and stuff, so they got to like touch the foxes, and they got to like touch every animal. So I guess we were a little bit disappointed because obviously we didn't get that opportunity. But I don't know. It's still a pretty cool place where you get to see them kind of close to you, and they have the choice if they want to walk up to you or, come smell you or something. I think next time we're just gonna bring some chairs and just sit by the pool. Be like, all right, fox, come here. Whenever you're thirsty, come here. I'm just gonna like like touch you or something. Yeah. I mean, it's also pretty cool that their signs are in both Chinese and English, so it's great. It helps foreigners also understand what they're talking about. Yeah, so this is the view, from the side of the fence. This is on top of the ledge where all the foxes are just hiding, napping. They were like, yeah, they're all a bunch of humans down there. We're not going down there. Only if they were like super thirsty, and then when they had to go down to the pool, and then they had to kind of endure humans touching them on the back and their tails and stuff. I guess it's, yeah, you get to see them really close, and there's an opportunity for you to touch them. So it's better than, I guess, just absolutely zero chance of touching them. This little guy was in his own. It was like separated from the other sheep. I don't know why. Maybe it was just having a bad day, and then it was a little bit more aggressive, so it got separated. It was like in its own little place. I was like, hey, let me out there. But yeah, like you see the guys holding like the grass in their hands and stuff. They got to like feed these animals and touch them and stuff. But I mean, like sheep, goats, not anything like super special, I guess. We're out there for, meerkats and groundhogs and sloths. These like very rare opportunities. That's what we're all about. So these are these maras. They look kind of like a blend of like rabbit and deer. I don't know what they are. These little guys are so cute. So next time, if we get there early enough and grab the tickets, I'm definitely gonna be trying to get my time slot to interact with these little guys. They're just so funny. Just watch them. And this is us looking for the sloth. The sloth was like under this place, but we were not allowed to go in because it was like a restaurant, and we just felt like if you go into the restaurant just to look at the sloth without eating, it's kind of rude, and it's a kind of a tricky thing, sneaky, I guess. So we had to like go to the roof and try to look through that area, but we looked and we just looked dumb, and we couldn't find the sloths. So that's kind of a bummer as well. This guinea pig area is cool. You get to feed the guinea pigs, and obviously, if you know get the chance to touch them a little bit, it's okay. But they generally just grab the food and run away. A few of them like camping out in the tents, and it's super funny because they would just grab the food and just go back to their little tent. They were adorable. In the same region, there are these ponies, and some of them have braided mane, and that's kind of adorable. So they have these like stables and little ponies. You get to feed them and pet them a little bit. The enclosure is relatively large, but I guess they would only let them out, after the humans are gone. Yeah. So this place, I think they usually shut down for Tuesdays and Wednesdays for maintenance, for I don't know, animals, mental health. I have no idea. So, I think after this trip, I would strategize. Like, if you want to touch the meerkats or the groundhogs or those animals where you need to have like a numbered ticket, then you gotta either arrive way early and be one of the first people to enter the place at 10 o'clock. And I have no idea how much how much earlier you need to kind of line up outside the gate. I would imagine like 9 o'clock or 8:30 or something. And then right when the door opens, you just have to rush in and grab one of those numbered tickets. The afternoon sessions, they start at 2, but you can line up and get the tickets. I think they hand out tickets at 1. But that day when we were about to, leave, we noticed that around like 11:30, which is like an hour and a half ahead of the whole like ticket handing out time, there were already people lining up, and by 12:30, the lineup was like full. It was like 100 people easily. So yeah, like if you want to touch the animals in the afternoon session, you would have to have someone kind of sacrifice themselves and line up for a ridiculously long amount of time. So, pros and cons, I guess. Definitely, I would say the pro would be you get the chance to interact with some of these animals like meerkats and groundhogs, anteaters, and sloths. Some of the more like rare, like foxes, some rare animals that you don't really get to interact with or touch in a normal zoo. The con, obviously, is the limited amount of people per day that has this opportunity. So if you miss out on those numbered tickets, you're kind of out of luck. You just have to kind of stand outside or beyond the glass and you watch other people do it. So yeah, I think it's good and bad. Like, obviously, if you do your homework and you're prepared for it, then you're going to come in with a plan and you're going to have a chance to touch these animals. But yeah, if you come without a plan, then a lot of times I guess you would be disappointed. You'd be like, oh, I saw in these videos you get to touch these animals. But the reality is, if you're not the earliest to grab those numbered tickets, you don't. So I guess this is a reminder that if you want to touch a meerkat, if you want to, hug a groundhog, then you gotta be here early. Is it a groundhog or a prairie dog? I don't know. And yeah, there are these little carts that kind of shuttle people around, but apparently they're like $10 per, so you have to go buy the tickets before you can hop on these things. We found out the hard way because we were like, oh, we're gonna hop on, and then they're like, no, you gotta buy the tickets down there. So I felt like $10, man, just included in the ticket price. The ticket price is actually not that cheap either. If you're from Kaohsiung City, it's I think $300. If you're not from the city, then it's $400. And for kids, right now it's like 150, but I think that might be going back up the price. So I don't know. Overall, I would say uh, it's a pretty cool place. But you gotta like limit your expectations and be prepared ahead of time. If have a plan, if you are looking forward to some of these more intimate interactions. This area is also really close to like the Mainong district, so we went out, grabbed a really nice lunch, and then found a really cool place for dessert. So I mean, it makes for a nice day out. The countryside air is fresh and nice. All right, I think that's it from me. Peace.